Hi, everyone. Aaron Evans, singing judge for the Barbershop Harmony Society here, and I want to talk to you today about one of the most common issues that we hear as judges and coaches in the singing category, and that is this loud breath. When our singers start singing with that sound, immediately we know something is going wrong. So let's talk about some of the results of that loud breath. Let's talk about some strategies to encourage eliminating that from our vocabulary, and maybe a little bit about how we got there in the first place. I think some well-intentioned teachers that we all had growing up encouraged us to use a breath that was really supportive of our sound. Yes, we absolutely want that. However, the piece of information that I didn't understand at the time was we don't want to have muscles involved in that process. When we take that loud breath, we often hear that sound of air being sucked through the vocal mechanism. Anytime we hear that, we know that muscles have been engaged and are actually causing that sound to be constricted. Well, we don't want that as singers. Tension is the enemy of our best sound. Instead, what we want to encourage our singers to do is a silent breath. How do we do a silent breath? Well, the first thing we want to do is full abdominal release. All of our abdominal muscles need to be completely disengaged. I often have our students and our singers engage those muscles as if they were doing a sit-up, and then on the count of 3, we relax those. So 1, 2, 3. And it feels like all of those muscles and all of the insides of our body just relax down. I'll combine that with having our singers put their fingers on either side of their Adam's apple, their larynx. I will have them engage those muscles. And oftentimes what they will feel is your larynx is pushed up. And then on the count of 3, I ask them to relax and tell me which direction their larynx goes. So we engage. 1, 2, 3. And what they're probably going to tell you is their larynx was lower. Now, I want to caution us, our larynx isn't being made to be lower. It just is lower because we're not engaging the muscles to push it higher. So that silent breath, that abdominal release is the first thing we want to look for as when we hear that. One of the reasons we want to avoid that tension is to avoid something called subglottal pressure. Our glottis being essentially our larynx, our Adam's apple. So anything beneath that is subglottal pressure. When we have subglottal pressure, we have too much air inside our system, and our muscles are being engaged to keep our larynx in a neutral position. So we're using more muscle to hold this in place than we are to just let the sound be completely free. So silent breath and abdominal release helps with that subglottal pressure. You'll hear this often in singers who really want to sing impassioned. They're going to take a really deep breath. They're going to take a breath that sounds like it's very passionate, and they get overpressurized in their system. There's too much air, and the muscles have to kick in. We hear this in singers frequently, and we want to remind them that passion doesn't come from the amount of air that they're taking in. It comes from a completely different place. It comes from a performance place. It comes from understanding the meaning behind what you're doing. But we don't have to add the tension in the breath. The last thing I want to bring up to you is oftentimes the result of a loud breath and lots of subglottal pressure is vocal fatigue. Many times in our coaching sessions and in our feedback sessions, we get comments and questions from our singers that say, you know, it's Saturday night, I've been singing for a day and a half or 3 days, 4 days, and I'm vocally worn out. What can I do to help? One of the things we can do, along with great vocal health and hydration and avoiding caffeine and alcohol on high vocal stress days, is to make sure that we are not overpressurizing our system with subglottal pressure, using a small constricted breath, and allowing our abdominal muscles to be fully released so that we're not using any extra muscle through our vocal mechanism. So friends, as we're sitting in the pit and watching these wonderful performances that we get to see from the best seat in the house, keep an open ear for that loud breath. And when you hear it and when you have an opportunity to remind singers, just remind them that that breath can be silent by relaxing the abdomen, keeping your larynx free, and it'll probably help their vocal fatigue as well. All the best to you. Can't wait to see everyone soon.